Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Harsh. I am your host, Chris Myatt Jr., joined as always by my co host, Miss Carrie Wilson. Carrie, I am glad to have you back. How are you doing?
I am so happy to be back. How you doing, Chris?
Another day, another day. How about you?
Yes, another day. Let's do this. Let's talk.
All right. So, today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. We've been having some guests on for quite a while now, but we are going to kind of get back to the basics, and today's theme, or today's episode, I should say, is going to be me and Carrie are each going to share one of those hard stories that you try to shovel back as a sufferer, or you may not want to talk about it as much or as often. Basically, it's a shelved story. That's the best way to describe it. And this for for these stories more specifically, it's going to be one really bad day that you cannot forget no matter how hard you tried. Like from start to finish, it was just a terrible day. Uh so Carrie, if you're cool with it, you want me to start off with this one?
I would love for you to start off first.
All right, man. So I've been contemplating on telling this one for a good while, and this is a story I don't share very often, but I'm willing to do this because I have a handful of days where it was really bad from start to finish, but this day is always going to really stand out. And especially since I've done shared some of my medical history with some of you guys, uh, I'm going to use this one because it's along that premise. So this story all starts when I was in the middle of trying to get the first surgery. Um, so I remember that time frame very well. To give a little foreshadowing before I talk about the actual day, the day where I got the first surgery, where they removed the epicrin glands from the perineum, uh, I still remember being in the waiting room at U of L, and before they called me out to the surgery unit, uh, I used to style my hair, and I used to put like some putty through, anyone that ever uses products, when you get out of the shower, wet your hands, put the putty on, put it through your hair. Well, instead of combing it out, uh, to where it could look more natural in terms of volume, it ended up gelling and hardening. And I'll never forget this old man and his wife before I went in. Saying something like, kind of like, maybe, I guess it was like a gay reference or something, ended up calling me Elton John, and and then uh, when I got this surgery, that kind of sucked. But uh, when I got that surgery, I got told that I had to walk, and uh, because I had stents and stitches in the perineum area, in order to help it heal, I had to go walking. I had to be in constant state of movement. And I remember when I was walking outside, because my mom and stepdad had let me stay with them while I was healing up. And I remember I was walking outside, and these two dudes, man, they were just laying it on me, talking about how bad I smell, calling me a fruit cake, all this other stuff. And then I remember when I went up there about a week or 2 weeks after I had went on that walk, and the dude said what he said before I had the surgery. Uh, I remember getting the stitches and stents taken out, and I remember crying up there at the office with Dr. Farmer and Michelle and some of them as they was taking out the stitches. Because not only was that pain so painful to the point I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, like having stitches and stents taken out from an area like that, but what really made me cry is because I felt like I'd put my body through so much pain. Because during those surgeries, I could barely walk. I could barely get my feet, like, very far apart from each other. I couldn't take a long strides when I'd walk. I'd have to walk really slow in small steps. And and even when it came to like using the bathroom, I had to have one of those I forget what they're called, like one of those toilet seat things where it props you up so you're not really sitting down because I had to be propped up or else, those stitches and stents would mess up. But I remember crying as they were taking it out, and it wasn't more so because of the pain. Again, the pain was bad, but what made me cry is because I felt like even up until that point, taking the bleach baths, the laser hair removal, uh, all the talc powders, the habitual washing and shaving of those areas, and honestly, just putting your body through abnormal things. Even because I was doing harsh diets for certain doctors, I'd end up losing a bunch of weight because the diets were just so strict. And I began crying because I felt like everything I had done was for nothing. And so, to fast forward, I go back to work after this first surgery. I'll never forget it. As soon as I clock in, I see one of my friends on the job. We start talking, shooting the you know what. And then my boss or one of the assistant managers at I was working at Menards at the time. She was just laying into me like there's nothing I could do that was right. Even when I was doing my job, it was too much talking, too much this, too much anything. Even when I was becoming quiet, uh she had us rake leaves and everything, and then it wasn't good enough. Even though the wind was blowing, uh it just wasn't good enough. And I remember later on in that night, I remember I had to put something back on one of the shelves over by like plumbing or something like that. And I remember one of the assistant GMs, man, she always gave me a hard time. She's talking with this guy that worked in the back because he was putting out a pallet for their floor or for their department. And I still remember she was talking about how bad I still smelled, and he ended up saying, "I come to work, not to babysit." And then as I ended up getting done with that, then I got told I had to empty out the buckets, which you have to take it through the back, and to get to the back, you have to go through the cabinets and appliances. And I won't ever say this guy's name. I remember exactly what he looks like, but as I was going past, uh, they were talking about how everyone was talking about, "Oh, well, the surgery must not have worked," or there was lying and saying that I was on vacation, whatever. But that specific guy, he ended up saying, "Oh, he didn't have anything done. He was just on vacation. He just took a vacation." And I remember just hanging my head down, just feeling so defeated. And then there's this one obese bald dude that worked in the back, and he was always making homosexual references about me and all this stuff. Man, I remember that day, I felt so defeated. And so I'm dealing with all that. Everyone's saying that I was on vacation, even though I had this surgery. It took a crazy long time to heal. It was painful. Getting those stitches and stents taken out was very painful. So basically, this whole journey was hell. It was nothing short of it. So then I get so fed up. I'm like, you know what? I really need a beer or something to drink. So I end up going to Kroger, and I remember when I get out of my car and go in, there was like I guess they were homeless or drug addicts, I don't know, but they were outside of Kroger along the brick wall. And as I was walking out and heading up there, uh, one of those guys ended up saying something like, "Oh, don't do that to me. I ended up going to prison. Don't come around here smelling like that." And I just remember my blood was boiling, but I was like, whatever. Hopefully, these people they won't be here by the time I get out. And so I go in there. I buy the beer, and I end up heading out. And the guy ended up saying, "Oh, dreamboat, don't go walking away. Don't go walking like that, boy. Oh man." Basically, like almost kind of catcalling me or whatever. I remember I was so like furious. I wanted to just throw down those beer bottles because they were glass Corona, like a six pack, some Corona lights, and I just wanted to throw them down, just go over there and just beat the heck out of this guy. But deep down in my heart, I knew if I did anything, I was the only person that was going to get hurt by all this. Because the every time someone has done something to me while I've had this condition, I not only have to pay for my own mistakes, but I've paid for the mistakes of others. Like, say someone just really wants to lay into me, it's never going to be what they said or did to me, even in workplace environments. It's always going to be how I reacted. So that's that's the story. That's the story pretty much.
Can I ask some follow-up questions?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when you had the surgery and you said during the recovery phase,
Hmm.
you had to walk. You know, that was
Yeah.
part of you to walk. Did you think that the odor would go away immediately, or what did you
Well,
expect?
I was under the impression, I think I've talked about this in an episode before, but when I was doing the laser hair removals, you can't trim those areas, like you actually have to shave. And at first, I kept smelling the really bitter or poop-like smell, however you want to describe it, from like the perineum area. So I was under the impression that, oh, so this entire time it's coming from only this exact area. I did not think I had anything like TMAU or anything where it's coming from all over my body.
Okay,
I thought it was just from that specific area. And I had like a bingo moment where I'm like, okay, if I get this fixed, everything's cured, everything's over with. But no, that's not how it happened. So originally, yes, when I had that surgery to remove the epicrine glands from the perineum area, I really thought that was going to be the end all be all.
okay, that's what I was wondering. Um,
Yeah.
I wonder if other guys, men in general, who deal with this, are they being assaulted verbally with being gay? You know, I wonder is that a thing? Like people, it's just that I never heard like gay people smell. I never heard something like that. But I'm not in the streets either. You know, I'm not. I don't hang out and stuff like that. But that's a weird one to me that people do that
Yeah.
or associated with that. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't speak for every fella, but for me personally, it's happened a lot. And, yeah, and there's no real racial barrier on it either. And
Look,
I
we're
think that's
all
probably,
strong. I know that we all are. We really are. We have to be mentally strong, physically strong. But you really are a strong guy, Chris. Because like, of course, I've had people talk about me or whisper about me, but how you say people just be throwing stuff at you? That's just so ignorant, man. It's so disrespectful.
yeah. Yeah, I've dealt with a lot. I've had people spit in my food, throw garbage on my car, throw a condom by my car, a lot of stuff. And I
And
still
then,
have a
like you
picture
said,
of
maybe
that.
it could be because I'm a woman. They come at me, but they'll come at me viciously. I feel like you being viciously attacked. You know what I'm saying? I honestly feel like people are viciously attacking you. But even when people say stuff to me, I back when I was younger, I was like ready to fight, like physically fight.
Yeah,
But it's weird when you say something to people, they back down.
yeah,
They act like they not even talking to you. And I've called people like just straight out, like, yeah, well, come whoop my ass, you know, just that upset about it. But wow, Chris, wow. I'm so sorry that you went through something like that. But yeah, I was interested when you was talking. I'm like, well, I wonder did he think that as soon as he got the surgery, as soon as it came out his body, it would be over. But you didn't think that. You didn't know what test that, right?
right. Yeah,
And remember, I wanted to get my sweat glands under my arms. It was $3,000 in 2000. And three, it cost $3,000 to get sweat gland surgery removal. Of course, I didn't have $3,000, but I definitely would have done it. I would have done it.
Oh,
So
yeah. But it also
I,
highlights the desperation with having conditions like these.
I was absolutely so desperate that I was willing to do anything. And a dermatologist, I had so many horrible experiences with doctors, but this particular dermatologist, he would not give me a referral. And I had medical insurance. If he would have gave me a referral, my insurance would have paid for the surgery. He said no. He gave me Botox. He gave me topical solutions. He was so against me getting the surgery, and he said they could cut a nerve. You could be deformed for the rest of your life. So, out of all of those doctors, I actually thanked him for doing his job. And he was just like, no, he just would not give me a referral for it. But I was desperate enough that I'm like, yeah, take him out. I was willing to roll the dice.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
end, no, I don't think that we should get our sweat glands out under our arms and stuff like that. I don't think we should go to drastic measures because you just never know um, what will happen. You don't know the outcome. And plus, like we both, it's been proven that it's not going to work anyway.
yeah,
I'm saying removing our sweat glands. Maybe it's a matter of if the sweat glands are involved, maybe it's more treating the sweat glands or something like that, rather than remove them. So I don't know.
yeah.
But you're a strong guy. You really are. You are a strong person, a strong advocate, and I appreciate that because
Well,
with everything you go through, people don't know what you go through. And I always tell my kids. I used to tell my daughter all the time about my days and what went on, but she said it affected her. So I go through stuff and I just don't tell them. I come in the house, I'm smiling. Hey y'all, they don't know what I've been through out there in the streets, you know. And you come off like that to me. You deal with stuff, but you when you get around people, you're just like, hey, with a smile on your face. Because
yeah.
you know, it's like part of our lifestyle.
Unfortunately, right?
Unfortunately. Okay, so I will go into my story.
Okay.
And with 30 years, 34 years of experience, I have quite a few stories, but I will go with the story that stands out the most to me throughout the whole 34 years. And this is actually the first two pages of my book, I think, 1996 or 7.
Hmm.
I'm at the beach when me and my, this is actually the beginning of my book. Me and my daughter are at the beach with some of my friends. And, you know, it's a beautiful hot day in Chicago. We're at the beach, we're just having fun. I'm probably about my daughter probably is like about 4 or 5, and I had her at 90. So I think I'm in my late 20s. No, I'm not in my late 20s, early 20s, late teens. It's important to me that I get that right. But as I had my daughter very early, and it triggered my condition. So this was maybe a couple of years after that. So I probably was about 18 or 19 years old. We're at the beach with my friends. We're all having a good time. We're young. It's a beautiful day. We're in the water, and one of my friends says that it smells like fish out here. And we all, you know, we all start looking around the water. And this is not the first time that I've heard comments about odor and things like that when I was around. But I straight up had they didn't phase me. When people talked about odors and things like that, I, I was never ever affected by it because I just knew it wasn't me. So um, by the time this happened, I had heard it a little too often. And so, you know, we all look around um, the water. We just go on and we play and we have fun. I take another shower I leave, before we leave the beach. I go home and me and my daughter, I think it was the next day. Sometimes I have to read my book to remember my own life. Seriously, the next day, me and my daughter go by my friend's house. And, you know,
Hmm.
we're just all hanging out. and some dudes walk up. It was all females, but some dudes walk up, and we're all just talking and kicking it. And the dude said, he was like, "One of you bitches needs to take a douche. It smell like fish out here." And everybody looked at me. Everybody. They weren't laughing. It was just like a look of shock, but they looked at me. And I was embarrassed. So again, I looked down on the ground to try to see, like maybe it was a dead fish on the ground. But that day, that comment, and people have asked me like, "Y'all just talk to each other like that in the hood?" Yeah, people stupid when you young, you in the hood. Yeah, guys just say stupid stuff. That was just a stupid comment. Had I not actually smelt like fish, I probably would have cursed him out and we'd have laughed it off, or and just it wouldn't have been nothing. But because he, I believe that they had all been talking about me before. When I look back through my life, I believe that they all used to talk about me, even my friends, because when he said that everybody looked at me, why nobody laughed? Why wasn't it a joke? But it shook me. It shook me enough that I started going to the doctors after that. After that guy made that comment, it it it, it um it prompted me into what the hell, what's going on? And remember, I couldn't smell the odor at that time. I still couldn't smell the odor. I didn't recognize the odor that was coming from my body as offensive. To me, I smelled like deodorant. It
Mhm.
wasn't offensive, but it was shortly after that, maybe even weeks, that I did. I literally just woke up one day and the odor coming from my body was offensive. It was like a weird, strange odor. But that day, I'm telling you, I remember the guy to this day. I never forgot what he looked like. He 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 shook me. He literally changed the way he like prompted me into action. But that's the day that stands out of all of this, because I was so young. I had a young daughter, and this guy said that. And, it's in my book, and somebody was like, "Well, don't put that part in there." I'm like, "No, that's a vital part of my story. It's true." And it hurt me. I think I'm stuck in that year, that era. My daughter and friends always say that I'm stuck in the 90s. I dress like in the 90s. I wear my hair like in the 90s. I'm stuck there. I was traumatized. That guy traumatized me by that, and I'm not upset with him because he was just being stupid and young. I've had people say worse, but because it was a true statement, it it hurt. It hurt bad, and it prompted me into try to find out why I smell like fish.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, stories like that, they're pretty hard to forget about because, especially when they have a profound impact on your life. Yeah, there's certain days with these conditions, like you'll never forget them. Probably when you're crazy old and getting ready to pass away, you'll probably still remember.
and then Chris, I'm telling you, it's been times where as soon as I walk up, somebody just started talking about shit, fish, food, and that happens to a lot of us. As soon as why every time I'm around, we have to talk about garbage. We have to talk about feces. It got so
Yeah,
bad with me to this day. Anyone who comes into my home, anyone who gets into my car, you're not allowed to talk about odor, period. And I had a friend, he used to be like, "You trying to tell me how to talk when I can say," I said, "No, I'm not. No, actually, I'm not. But I'm telling you, when you around me, if you're in my home, I'm asking you to respect me enough not to talk about odor, period. I don't want to hear about anything smelling. And if you respect someone and they're your friend and you care about them, respect that. I
yeah,
can't control when we're out in the street and you can do whatever. But even if you're my friend and we're around each other, I'm gonna need you to respect me enough not to say trigger things around me. I'm telling you as a friend, these are trigger words. And if you can't respect that, I don't want to be. And I've lost friends for that. But they felt like they had the right to say what they wanted to say. All right, well, you ain't gonna say it around me. And I've actually lost friends who could not help but talk about something smelling when I was around.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Yeah, it's happened to me quite a few times too,
Yeah.
at workplaces, around certain family members. Yeah, it's like somehow everything to me is perfectly normal, and then they'll always want to talk about something like shit related and things of
And you
that
know they can do
nature.
it. My kids do it. My kids don't never talk about my son know me, my daughter know me. They know not to talk about that type of stuff around mama, which is kind of ironic because my kids literally can walk in my room and be like, "What's that smell?" And I will know that they're not talking about me. My daughter will be like, "Mom, you got a banana in your garbage can or something like that." You know what I'm saying? So it could be an
Yeah,
instinct for someone to smell something and say something, but my kids know that I'm so triggered by that that they can be around me and smell me and not say anything out of respect for me. So if my kids can do it, you can do it. Other people around me can do it. So this is our life.
unfortunately, it is. It really
But
is.
it gets easier for people listening. Chris, you're very early in your journey. It's going to get easier. You know, until there's a cure, until there is better treatment, you will use the treatment options that you have. You will continue to try to get answers. But in general, the negativity that you feel around the condition, it does get different, even if your life has to look different. You know, my life probably looks nothing, excuse me, like I wanted it to look like, but this is my life. At 50, I'm a lot happier than I've ever been. I have a lot of regrets, but I can't live in those regrets. But it gets easier. That's all I can say to you all. And yes, it gets easier with a body. So you just have to keep fighting, fight for yourself, stand up for yourself, and look at your past. Chris and I just told stories that stand out. What story stands out to you? Anyone listening? What is your story that stands out that you just can't forget that you've had with this condition? Use
Yeah.
that story to motivate yourself to stay strong. So,
Hey, nailed it right on the head with that one. Um, yeah, I
oh, trust me, I have
completely,
more horror stories, Chris. I have more horror stories. But
I do
you know what
too.
I'm saying? That was the most
But
important.
yeah, I do too. Um, heck, yeah. Part of me is wondering, like, should we try to wrap it up, or should we
No,
say
no, we can
one
wrap
more
it up.
story?
This was a short one. This was a short one. We just wanted to keep up our momentum, keep the stories out there, and we're trying to
Yeah,
get a guest for next week.
we're trying. We're
We are
trying, guys.
trying.
Guys, someone reach out. I don't care if it's to Carrie, I don't care if it's to me. I don't care. Oh yeah, but you know what? We'll talk about it off camera.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, guys, this is it for episode 11. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully, let this be kind of a monument or a testimony to stand up and be bold, and some of you guys start to tell your stories. Uh, it's all we can hope for. It's all we can pray for, and similar to politics and certain other things in the world, you can't gripe and complain about how nothing's changing if you're not going to be one of the people that helps create that change. So,
That's right.
all right. Well, we'll see you guys later. And until next time, hope you guys take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.